everyone, I am the Vision of Chaos, and today I'm joined here by Nick Adams to do an interview about Suikoden II and his role as Luca Blight. So, Nick, tell us, the audience, who are you and what do you do?
Well, hello there, everyone. My name is Nick Adams, also known as NickTheVA. I do voice acting work on YouTube as well as other places, and it's just stuff that I enjoy to do.
Yes. And what are you currently working on? What kind of projects are we looking forward to hearing from you?
Well, currently out of my own channel, I'm working on creating a recent parody, though that's going to take a little while for collecting lines from other people. But other stuff that you can look forward to is on one of my friend's channels, we're doing a Fandub of the 5th part of Jojo's Bizarre Adventure, where I do the voice of Jotaro Kujo and Bruno Bucciolati.
I have no clue who those characters are, seeing as I've never watched JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Don't worry about it. Point is, they're in the franchise, they're popular, so...
Exactly. And I will leave links down in the description below for those who want to check out after the interview is over. And tell us, Nick, what started you, along the path of voice acting? What inspired you to become a voice actor, basically?
Well, I kind of got into it based off of, I kind of did it out of spite, in a sense. Like, it's a weird way of saying it, but, like, as soon as puberty hit me like a sack of bricks and gave me the voice I currently have, everyone was just saying, like, hey, you should get into voice work somehow. Like, you should be a sports announcer, or you should be, like, just do something with it. And I ignored it for, like, the longest time until, like, junior year of high school, when I had to do a panel for a history class, like just describing, hey, here's how the course works, and it's not scary, so take the course, because teachers want to get money and whatnot. So end of the panel comes around, and they're just like, do you have any questions you want to ask to the students up here talking to you? And everybody was like, of course, nervous in high school, and nobody wanted to say anything. They're just like, okay, it doesn't have to be related to the content here. You can ask any question you want. And so this one blonde kid in the back raises his hand, and I was like, yeah, go ahead. And he's like, your voice is really cool. Have you thought of doing something with it? And I was like, you know what? I have to do it now. Like, out of spite of this little kid who just was like, hey, your voice is cool. Like, I had to do it. And it's been a rough 2 years, because when I first started, I had no microphone and people still used my audio. I don't know why they did, but they ended up doing that. And now I'm here. I have a much better recording setup, and I can be proud of the content that I produce for people.
And you didn't have any previous acting experience before you got into voice acting? You just got into voice acting and everyone was like, your voice is so great, go into voice acting.
Well, it wasn't exactly voice acting. They were just like, do something with your voice, whether it be like public service announcements or commercials or whatever. And I was ignoring it for the longest time, and I didn't really... The only experience I would say I had with it was that when I was a kid, I would see commercials repeatedly said on the television, and I would just, like, in my head, I would repeat them, like, verbatim after hearing them for so many times, and people would be, like, a little scared. They'd be like, how does this kid know this commercial by heart?
Yeah, usually when people get inspired, they get inspired by, something they see on TV, or they get inspired by a specific voice actor, or they've done theater, for most of their life. But yeah, it's weird to see a different point of view. You just got into it because out of spite. That's really interesting.
Well, out of spite at first, but like after doing it for for how long I have now, for like 2 going on 3 years, like, it's become more of a pleasure thing. Like, I've enjoyed all of the stuff that I've done.
Okay. And now we're going to move on a little bit to Suikoden. And when you were one of the people that I asked personally, you didn't really get cast. So how did you feel about this, antagonistic character when you first, got cast as him and you didn't really know what his character was or where he was going? How did you feel about his role in the beginning?
Well, with Luca, it was definitely different because I had never done a villain role before. Like, this sort of sets me off into the era of, like, now, like, people cast me for villains all the time, of being like this evil, like, just dark overlord of whatever it is. And like with Luca, it was different because like again, it was my first attempt at a villain, and I didn't know what I was supposed to do. I was like, do I just do the generic maniacal laughter? Do I make him towards the Joker? Like how do I make him basically? And you definitely helped work with me in order to sort of like make the best Luca possible.
Awesome.
In my opinion, anyway.
Awesome. And now, finally, after a long, year, pretty much, Luca Blight has finally hit the dust. So, how do you feel about him now that you've voiced everything, and seen his beginning and his end? Literally his end.
Well, like, seeing, like, sort of the eventual, like, the journey of Luca Blight and how he started off of just, like, starting with this rogue mercenary group from like the country, and then eventually just like rising up, and it's just like, hey, I'm starting a war and I'm just doing it because I can. And like just the progression of just like the evil of Luca, like he definitely made like a good villain. Like it's the villain that it's not the villain that people are like, I like despise him. Like it's the you love to hate him because of the fact that like he's such a good villain. He represents all of like these evil characteristics, and you're like, yeah, he's a villain, and I can fight him, and I can feel proud of fighting him. Versus like the emotional villain where it's like they try and play on like values and stuff. They're just like, I'm saving humanity or whatever. It's like, jeez.
Yeah, and I don't know how much you've seen from the actual project or from your own performance, but from what you've seen. What other scenes besides yourself do you enjoy? What other people do you enjoy to listen to? Basically, like, have you enjoyed anything? Aside from Luca Blight in this project.
Aside from Luca Blight, who have I enjoyed? I definitely liked all of the. I like the scene we did with like the vampire. I can't remember his name for the life of me, but
his name is Necklord, and his voice actor is Ben Burrows.
Gotcha. Well, he did a very like good job for sure. Like he definitely like had that like sort of count like of the vampire vibe behind him, and I loved that performance for sure. I definitely like how like Joey has developed throughout this project. Like again, it starts off like as this friendship with Joey and Ryu, and how he's like now he's become like the king of a country, and like the same thing sort of happened with Ryu. So like the growth of Joey as well, like both from a character as well as like the voice actor, like I feel like they've gotten better as the project's gone on.
Yeah, indeed. I didn't really have much faith, but Joey and Luca Blight were amazing. And now, of course, the question for the other side of the spectrum: what did you find were the weaker parts of this project, or the weaker, performances?
The only thing I have to say when it comes to like weak performances is it would most likely just happen to be where it's like the quality and stuff like that of some things, like whether it be mic quality or acting quality. Like there were just a couple of areas where like it did sort of like wane a little bit, where like you have some people who are just like they're like going all out and they're doing like everything they can, and they're just like emotion and passion, and then there's moments where it just feels like sort of bland, and I can't recall exact characters for that, but there are plenty of moments like that. And that's where I feel like it sort of fluctuates a little.
Yeah, well, not everyone can have the best mic, especially with this large cast over
sure.
a long period of time.
Cast.
Yeah. So did you enjoy the project so far? Like how it turned out, the story and everything?
I definitely do. I think that everything has been like edited well. I think all of the lines have been put in diligently in the areas where it should be. I feel like you've definitely like how you've been talking about in like the group, where it's like, hey, how should I do this? Like how should I do like the army battles? How should I do like boss battles and stuff like that when it started at the beginning of the project versus where we're at now. And like it started out with like just trial and error, and now it's become like you have exactly like what you need to do. Like where you're going with everything.
Yeah. But it's a little bit difficult sometimes to get lines from everyone, still.
Oh, for sure. I know I've been difficult with that myself.
Indeed. Is there any question you would like to ask me or the audience?
I I don't know really. I mean, for you, I would say that like what else do you have planned post Suikoden 2? Like, what else do we have to look forward to on that
Well,
sense?
currently, if you know, I'm doing Phoenix Wright, which is going slow, but it will go. As things go on. After Suikoden, I'm doing Skyward Sword, and after that, who knows, right?
Yeah, I gotcha.
I do want to do the Telias games at some point, but it's even larger than Suikoden is, so I don't want to dive into that right after Suikoden. I'm probably gonna take a year break
sure.
at least from it.
Yeah, after something like this scale, you deserve a break, man.
Exactly. I'm going to at least take a break for a year for something of this scale. Even though like Phoenix Wright is large, there's only like 7 characters at a time that I have to worry about, at most.
Yeah.
So it's not like here, it's like, 40 characters, okay. It's really ridiculous. From the acting that you have done so far, what was your favorite project to do, and what was your least favorite project to do?
Oh, like out of the 2 years I've done, what have I enjoyed and hated? Well, most recently I've enjoyed the JoJo's dub that we're doing right now, because the editing quality, like my buddy Tim is the one who's in charge of that project, and he has like only gotten better as this project has gone along. Like, he's an amazing editor as it was, and when we started with episode 1, it was a challenge to figure out how we were going to do like editing, like with transitions, with voice acting, with sound effects, music, all that stuff. Episode 2, we really got into like the real nitty gritty, like this is our formula. And episode 3 sort of like followed that very well. So I feel like for that project, it's going to be going for a while, kind of like this one. So I can only see it going and getting better as it goes on. Worst projects, I would say, I don't even know. Like, I would say most likely like minor collabs I've done. I can't name anything specific, but just stuff that like.
Usually I don't
know.
The answer is the ones that don't go through at all.
Well, those ones for sure. I've had plenty of those where they don't go through, but like. I don't blame them for the most part. I mean, like, things happen.
Also, seeing as you're talking to me, the obvious answer would be Bleach Abridged.
Yeah, the good old Bleach Abridged.
That never happened.
Yeah,
basically.
Of course. Well, I've been a part of like at least 3 other Bleach Abridges that haven't gone through. So honestly, you're not the only one.
Editing in a bridge is hard, man. Editing in a bridge is hard and tedious.
That it is.
Let's see. I have here a question: where can people find your work? No, you can leave me links basically.
I'll send you the link.
Yeah, exactly, for the work that you do. Is there any, like, if you audition, are there any projects you would like say like you want to do, or you always audition for, or do you have like favorite things you want to audition for, that sort of thing? Do you have any preference?
I'd say that things that I want to try and go for now anyways, like now that I've sort of like slightly built myself up from where I'm at now, is I want to try and get more into like original work, stuff that's like either original animation or like just like it doesn't even have, it could be animation, it could be just audio drama, stuff like that, like just things where I can say like I voiced so and so and I'm like that voice for that character versus, oh hey, I voiced Ichigo, and Ichigo has like 7 other voice actors or whatever. Like I like to sort of like, I'd like to now like stake a claim to one of these characters at least once.
Yeah, and do you expect that we can find you like somewhere in the future to be like the new Troy Baker or something, like basically going into a professional career, or you don't see that coming and you're just studying in order to become something else?
Well, I am studying in college to try and get involved in the medical world, so I have that sort of there. But I'm still going to be doing my voice work like on a consistent basis along with that. So there might come a time where the voice work ends up overcoming whatever medical job I end up, and I might end up just becoming a voice actor, or I just end up doing the same thing I'm still doing while having a job in the medical field. I don't know.
Honestly, a medical field job usually pays better.
Well, that really depends because, like,
It depends on the job, but usually, unless you're a good professional voice actor, that it doesn't pay that much.
Don't I know it?
Yep. Let's see. I think that's pretty much it for the questions that I've had. Do you want anything do you have anything to say on this project or future projects or basically anything, any parting words?
Parting words. I'd say to anyone out there who's like interested in like doing like anything at all, where like any like hobby that you currently have, like some passion like that, if you can turn that into a profit, do it. Otherwise, just keep doing it anyway. Like, even if you can't be a professional artist, if you can't be a professional voice actor, if you can't be a professional editor for whatever and whatnot, just keep doing what you enjoy. Because when you get older and, like, people try and say, like, oh, why do you keep doing that? It's childish. Like, that's the one thing you have left. So, keep your passions. That's the one thing I gotta say.
Indeed, keep your passions indeed. And now, of course, for the final, most important question of them all. Will you work with me in the future?
I would definitely like to be involved in whatever future projects you have for me. Just make sure to give me a shout out whenever you need my services.
Indeed, awesome. I will let you know when I have, projects up to be auditioned for, and then you can be like, do I have time for this bullshit to, you know? You know what I mean.
Yeah. Hopefully it's not anything as large scale as this one, because, this one, I mean, it was a journey and a half. I mean, I enjoyed all of it, but it got taxing.
Indeed, indeed. I think it got taxing for the entire group. Thank you for joining me, Nick. And this has been Vision of Chaos. And I hope you enjoyed this interview.